Rob Dawson here. I got Jeff Goodman with me.
Hell no.
John Fate.
Are we still live?
Field of 68 till I die.
I'm sorry, man. I blacked out.
Randolph Childress.
DJ Khaled, you know the big DJ Khaled guy?
Hansbrough up and in.
Goodman needs to be fired all the time.
Josh Pastor.
You're going to beat people straight up.
You know the deal.
Drink responsibly tonight. I'll be drinking with you.
Jarrell McNeil.
From the bluest of the blue bloods to the smallest of the mid-majors.
This is Field of 68 after dark.
On this Thursday night, December the 21st, 2023, we welcome you to the Field of 68 After Dark. We have a great crew for you tonight. We've got Tyler Hansbrough, the pride of the North Carolina Tar Heels, and we've got Randolph Childress. And want to start by saying, Randolph, congratulations for being named to the North Carolina Sports Hall of Fame. You'll be inducted May the 10th in Raleigh, Wake Forest's own. I'm very, very happy for you, RC. Congratulations to you on that big news.
I appreciate that,
Congrats,
man. I'm
RC.
looking forward to it. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
And I'm John Fanta, and ladies and gentlemen, we have a huge show for you tonight. Here's what we're going to tell you about in the hour. We are going to take the top 15 teams in the country. Of course, Purdue leading the way, but how about teams like Arizona, Marquette, Illinois, top 15 teams? I'm going to ask the guys, national championship, Final Four, second weekend, or could be upset. We're going to play that game later in the show. But we begin this evening with a rivalry game that, quite honestly, tonight did not feel like much of that rivalry. That's because a lot of the Yum Center, which has typically been covered in Louisville red throughout the years, had its highest amount of Big Blue Nation that we've seen in 40 years. Final score, Kentucky 95, Louisville 76. We begin with the Wildcats here. Antonio Reeves with 30 points, Trey Mitchell with 18 and 12. But Randolph Childress, this line sticks out to me. Reed Sheppard with 11 points and 11 assists.
Yeah.
How impressed were you with Kentucky?
Oh, I'm very impressed with them, and I know we'll talk more about them throughout the show. I'm impressed with him and Dillingham. I don't know if another team in the country has the quality of guards with Sheppard and Dillingham coming off their bench.
Yes.
Like in the country, like we're talking about coming off the bench, and I think Dillingham is just electric and dynamic. I think his skill set is special, but I think Reed Sheppard is the same. I think he's special in a different way. It's not as a physical thing. He just knows how to play. He's efficient as hell. He just knows the game. He's mature well beyond his years. He shoots the hell out of it. Hell of a player. And like I said, if I was screaming like these guys should be starting or playing more, but the role that they're playing right now is great. And like I said, no one in the country has that production from their guards and that the potential like those two guys bring to this Kentucky lineup. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Tyler Hansbrough, is Kentucky a legit national championship threat?
Not at this moment. And the reason I say that is because they are a young and developing team. And I agree with a lot of what RC said, especially with Reed Sheppard. I think Reed Sheppard's been playing great. And, you know, a lot of people try to make a push sometimes for these bench players that come in and, you know, take starters or he should be starting. But if they're doing so good coming off the bench and having production like that, why even change it up if it's working? But I will say that, you know, they are young, and I think they're going to have to improve on a lot of different aspects. Like, you know, the Bradshaw kid, he has dominated games, and also sometimes he's had some, you know, it's not so good games. So I think as these young guys develop and they, you know, he's Sheppard, Dillingham, those guys are just bringing it every night. But as long as they get a few more supporting cast members and they play to somewhat of their potential, I think they could be a contender. I don't think they're quite there yet.
You know who impresses me so much with them, too, is I was worried earlier about Trey Mitchell and how would he adjust. Mm-hmm. And he seems to have found his niche. I agree with you. The freshmen are going to get better. We know they're going to get better. This is a team you want to get now because I think in February you're going to have problems. Because when this freshman group take a step, But in key moments of game, we were worried is Trey Mitchell going to play the 5? Now they got their big guys back. And what he's doing at the floor, he's stretching, he's rebounding, he's giving them size at the 4 spot. But when teams switch in that ball screen and you put guards on them, you can see them intentionally going to him in the post, and he's just crab dribbling, putting guards on his back and punish them inside. Man, they're figuring things out down there. They can, people give Cal a lot of crap, but he's figuring his team out.
It feels like that this is his best team in at least 5 years from a personnel standpoint in fitting what he does best. They can play extremely fast. They've moved the ball. Like, the ball has stuck with them the past couple of seasons. And the other thing is, it's taken a certain unit, right? A certain 5 for them to get the best. Right now, this team, you just said it, RC, like, there's 2 sides of that. 1, Reed Sheppard and Rob Dillingham have been coming off the bench. 2, well, the fact they're coming off the bench sums up just how versatile this team can be. Yeah. They don't have to rely on Formula A. It feels like, RC, this Kentucky team can answer question A, B, C, D, E, whereas it seemed like the last couple of years, Cal needed this to happen for them to beat the elite opponent.
Let's be honest. Most teams do. Most teams are like, hey, I got to have production out of this guy. There's not a lot of teams in the country that are just like, we don't know. It doesn't matter. Let's just do what we do. The ball will find you. Coming to my FAU's one. But most of the teams, even some of the better teams, like Purdue needs Zach Edey to be Zach Edey, right? And there's still other teams. Not a lot of teams out there are just roll the ball out there and then go 7, 8, 9 deep in their bench and can say, hey, our best player tonight may come from our bench. There's not a lot of teams that can do that. And Kentucky's, they're young, but that's the option that they have. And, bringing those guards in, even their bigs, we don't know how elite or how good their bigs could be, because they've been injured in the preseason. Those guys are coming around. They're getting healthy. Like I said, this team is scary when it comes to what they can look like in February.
Hansbrough, does Coach Cal get unfairly treated?
No, I don't think he does. If you coach Kentucky and you don't expect to get criticized or be in the spotlight, then you're delusional. And I will say that you said this is the best team in the past 5 years. I sure hope so, because the past 5 years hasn't been that productive in the postseason play. And I will say that Cal has done a good job in this modern era of basketball where we hemorrhage threes and we play the small people. I think that the 2 big traditional front with the bigs down low and making that work, I think that's a good way to play. And I respect him for going to that at times, and also that could be a better lineup and a good chance for these young bigs, these young freshmen to really develop.
All right. We have to acknowledge the elephant in the room as well tonight, and that is that Louisville, with the loss, drops to 5-7. Now, the Cardinals had blown out Pepperdine after quite a bit of heat that they took last week with a number of situations with player kicked off, and they had to clarify that. They lose to Arkansas State. They lose to DePaul. It was ugly. Now, tonight, they lose 95-76. The crowd was more blue than it was red. It's Louisville, Kentucky. This game's supposed to matter. Tyler Hansbrough, as a guy who played for such a rich brand name in Carolina, you appreciate the passion that a Louisville fan base would have and the brand that they have. What do you make of the current state of Louisville basketball?
It's a very difficult situation. And for me, just being brutally honest, it's not too optimistic in its current state. And I think a lot of people have been raising questions whether Kenny Payne's the person or whatever. I don't have the answer on that, but I do know that when I watch them, sometimes it doesn't seem that the team is in sync. And also when I do watch some of the post-game press conference, there are some odd statements floating, and there's been a lot of dysfunction within the team, which is never a good situation. But Louisville is a traditional powerhouse in college basketball. And do I think they will figure it out? Yeah, at some point they will figure it out, whether it be with Kenny Payne or somebody else. But I will say that Kenny Payne has a really good reputation before he took the job. And, I'm not sure, even in his mind, is this pressure good for his image, or is he wanting to stick it through and really, knowing what, some people are saying or what could happen? I would like to see where his state is with it all.
RC?
We know Louisville didn't go into the tournament, right? We know that. I think the question becomes internally, how bad was things when he took over? Or how'd you feel that way, right? And they won 4 games a year ago. You come back so far this year, they've exceeded that already. We haven't gotten to conference play. They've exceeded that. If you were to take the brand off and say it's not Louisville, and someone wins 4 games and taking over, you're assuming there's just was something going on with that job. And let's be honest, there were things at the end of Mac's regime there where the room was floating around that was hurting the program. It was hurting recruiting, with all that stuff with those guys. So this was supposed to kind of jumpstart things, and it didn't. Not the way that you expected it to be for Louisville. So I think tonight said something. Tonight was see that much blue in Yum Center was a big story. I was one to think that their starting group in general was better. I had questions and concerns about their bench, but how much longer can these guys deal with that? You got to know these kids hear this noise, and they didn't for that to be a rivalry game. And Tyler, no one has played in the best rivalry in college basketball is the one you've played in. It's Duke and Carolina, and I don't care what the records were. When those two teams line up, it's you're not leaving that game without leaving blood on the floor. I don't care 100%. If Duke's number 1 and Carolina is the 300th ranked team or vice versa. When you guys walked off that court, throw the records out, that was an all-out brawl. And you didn't see that tonight. And you've been in some battles. Obviously, you won your fair share of them. But even on lesser talented teams that got Duke, you guys had to compete your ass off, to get the W. And tonight just didn't seem to be that. They just seemed like they gave him a punch early. Soon as they got hit back, it was like, all right, man, here we go again. Like they look like a team that's like, man, it's starting to snow.
Yeah, and I would just say that is one thing that I've always respected about K is how hard his teams fought, but also just not that rivalry. You look at the Kansas-Mizzou rivalry early on in the year. Mizzou went over to Kansas and gave them a run in the first half. They played their tail off and made it somewhat of a ball game, and it just seems like, I actually tuned in to see how bad Kentucky was going to beat them at Louisville. And to be quite honest, I'm surprised that it was even this close. Going off of, I was watching the Arkansas State game because I grew up about an hour and a half from Arkansas State when they went to Louisville. And I was tuning in to see if they're going to beat them. And they did. So, yeah, it's to me, RC, I don't think it's too optimistic when I see it. Do I see like, hey, things are really improving? Does it seem like the kids are encouraged to play? Does it seem like there's a good, clear direction? I don't see that right now at Louisville.
This is just plain sad.
It's a matter of time.
Yeah.
It's just a matter because now everybody's turned on them, whether they pull the trigger, whether they don't.
Right.
The feeling it feels like everyone is turned on them. Like it's just a matter of time. That's just the way it feels.
Yeah, and as an athletic director, Josh Hurd, you're going to determine here whether or not for your kids, players, is it best to keep the head coach and ride out the season, or is it best to make the move because there's just so much dysfunction? One thing's for certain. I'm not going to express anger like last week. Kenny Payne's a good man, but he's 9-35. He's 9-35 as the head coach of Louisville basketball. That's just not getting it done, man. This is plain sad. I mean, we're watching a game to see how badly Kentucky beats Louisville. What has that come to? It's embarrassing. And if you're the Louisville Cardinals, it's time for change. I mean, enough is enough. It's got to happen because what happened tonight is just the latest example for this program that they've reached a point where they're beyond rock bottom. They're just plain sad. That's where we stand here on the field of 68 after dark. Coming up, we'll do an ACC forecast and go around the top 15 and pick national title contenders.
As you guys know by now, we've partnered with BetMGM Sportsbook for this college basketball season. We're going to be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks and predictions throughout the college basketball season. And we are going to have special offers for you, the listeners and the viewers on the field of 68 each and every week during the season. If you haven't signed up with BetMGM yet, use the bonus code FIELD1500 and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager on BetMGM Sportsbook. Here's what you got to do. Download the BetMGM app. Sign up using the bonus code FIELD1500. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if that bet loses. Just make sure you use the bonus code FIELD1500 when you sign up. And remember, BetMGM is now available under one wallet in select states. As a New Jersey resident, this is super convenient for me when I have to go cover games in New York or Philly. When crossing state borders, just log into your existing account instead of having to create new accounts in each state that you go to. And most importantly, I got to let you know, we do have some fun stuff coming up for this college basketball season. Bet insurance tokens, college hoops odds boosts, my personal favorite, parlay odds boosts. So download the BetMGM app today.
Welcome back to the field of 68 after dark on this Thursday night. Happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas. I'm John Fanta. Randolph Childress is here. Tyler Hansbrough is here. And, fellas, we're going to talk about the ACC in a little bit. We'll also break down the top 15. But we're going to head to a Big Ten check-in right now. Number one, Purdue, no surprise here, winning 100-57 tonight over Jacksonville. Zach Edey with a modest 18-8. Lance Jones with 16. Trey Kaufman-Renn with 15. Purdue 11-1 on the season. The natural questions are this. Number one, RC. If you had any concern or any thought with Purdue, big picture, because they've just been so damn good, what would it be? And number two, do you think anybody in the Big Ten can threaten them?
No. First, no one's threatening them. I think that's probably as large a gap in Power 5 or Power 6 conferences. I think that's how I feel about that. Maybe no, let me take that back. Arizona and Pac-12 is first. I think that gap is ridiculous. I think that's a really big gap. But I think that much in Purdue. Early on, and we'll find out. I don't know who challenges them. I think we're sitting here. We're looking for seconds. I think from a resume standpoint, it would be Wisconsin. You've had to say from who's had some big wins early on this year. Ohio State. I'm glad those guys have got it going. They're starting to play really, really well. But challenging Purdue, it was supposed to be Michigan State. That ship has sailed. I don't believe that I think they'll figure some things out. But I have my concerns about Michigan State, and I know we'll get into them in a little bit here. But that's a large gap between if they're healthy with Purdue and the rest of the Big Ten.
Tyler?
No, nobody's challenging Purdue right now, not the way that Purdue is playing. And also, Purdue has had a lot of improvement from their guard play, in particular Fletcher Lawyer. He's really improved. Braden Smith has really improved as well. When they're playing and they're giving you production like they've been giving, Purdue can beat anybody. And also they played arguably the toughest schedule in college. And so they're battle-tested. I don't like the fact that they play in the Big Ten because I think once they get into league play, they're not going to see a lot of different styles. And I don't think Big Ten has the quality teams that, SEC, Big East, or, the ACC. So That is my only concern. And also, I do think the fact that they got bounced in the first round last year is a good motivating factor and keeps them hungry.
Purdue with a net ranking of 4, 5-1 against quad 1. 5 quadrant 1 wins. That is the most in college basketball. And then 2-0 against Q2. They've only played 1 quadrant 4 game. Like, that's something I look at too. It's not like they've got a couple of really great wins and then they scattered across a couple of pipsqueaks. They have not done that. I think, Tyler, the follow-up is, like, if you're Matt Painter, okay, is this the if not now, then when moment for him?
Not for me. I'm a big Matt Painter fan. I think Zach Edey is as for college, and I know you've said this, generational talent. I agree with you, Fanta. I think he is, the way he is dominating is extremely rare, and we don't appreciate it enough. Some people are getting a little bored with it and expect it every single night. But no, I think Painter's too good of a coach not to have another chance or to get other quality players to put himself in this position after Edey is gone. I don't agree with that one.
I think that we're not talking about Purdue being good, because we know with Matt Painter, they're going to be good. That's just what it is. He's one of the best out there. But I do think there's a lot of pressure or internal pressure because you got the best dude in college basketball. And outside of what, Big Dog? Like, how many times in the history of this program can you say, I got the baddest dude in college basketball? That's not something that you're going to be able to say at Purdue. And, I've already said, I think the Player of the Year award, I think that award's done. I even think the Defensive Player of the Year award is done. I think he's that dominant. He should get both of those awards right now. Unless something happens and, he gets, sick or something, and for a couple of days, I don't know what it'll take, because he seems to be, just unstoppable. I think the timing, though, is that you having a player this dominant, you got to do something special with them, because they're going to win and get into the tournament going forward. But you're not going to have the National Player of the Year, and I think the back-to-back National Player of the Year. Like, if you're at one of these blue bloods, the way he built that program, that's where the pressure comes from. That they're going to be good. They're great right now. They're dominant and they're great, and that's not something that Matt can hang his hat on and take lightly. And I know he doesn't, but there is a lot of pressure after last year. I think that helps them this year, and I think they'll be like Virginia was. I think they'll have that type of motivation coming into this year, and I don't think it'll slow down.
It's very strange, the discourse around the number 1 team in the country in college basketball. Is it not? Like, all they've done is win. They got the 1 loss, and it took an otherworldly performance by Boo Buie.
Right.
And every time we start a conversation with them, it's got to start with FDU or why you don't trust them or this or that or this or that. I have never in my life. This guy's got it locked up. National Player of the Year. He'll be the first back-to-back National Player of the Year since Ralph Sampson. And we got people. I mean, Tyler could have been there too, and we could talk about voters all day and all that stuff. That's for a different discussion. But, like, what? Why the hell, Tyler? Why the hell are there people that cover this sport that I respect and like? Like, they do a great job. But there are some smart people who are like, yeah, but he's tall. Come on, man. What are you watching?
That is the dumbest. I've heard that too. And if you haven't seen Zach Edey and how he's improved, then you don't understand basketball. The way he's finishing also through contact this year is incredible. He's making some very difficult shots with multiple people hanging on him at times. He's a very tough player to actually officiate, because there's a lot of times where you could probably call almost a foul every single time he's down the court. And I do think that he's such a dominant player that he requires that much attention from the defense. And Also, I do think that Edey's progression with his body and he is, for his footwork and his touch with his hands, for his size, that is extremely rare. And it's not just because he's tall. Believe me, there's been a lot of tall guys in college basketball that haven't been dominating or don't have the skill set that Edey has. And he has improved his touch around the rim. He's also a very good free throw shooter, and he's changed his body. So I think that's a ludicrous argument. I'm with you, Fanta.
You know why? Because he plays at Purdue and he's not flashy. That's the only things you can hold against him. Other than that, domination, again, and he does it on both ends of the floor. So, and his improvement has been amazing. But the naysayers or the non-believers is only holding it against him because people expect that guy to be in Kentucky or Carolina or Indiana or Blue Blood, UConn. They don't expect that guy to be in Purdue. And he's not flashy. He's not, if it was Ivy and a flashy athleticism, jump through your screen, you would be okay with it. That's not him. He looks like he can't jump over the curve.
Truth. All right, so let's talk about the rest of the Big Ten. Illinois is ranked 13th in the country. Wisconsin's 24th. Randolph, if you were to look at who do you think will be second in this league, maybe it's a team that's outside the top 25. What's your thought process entail there?
I'm going to say right now I'll say Illinois. They're competing. I would like to see them long term. I wish they would develop a guy that I would consistently play at the level with Terrence Shannon. And I don't know if that's possible, right? But I love they compete their ass off. We know they're well coached. So I'm going to stick with Illinois right now. But I'm cheering for Ohio State, believe it or not. Just from a standpoint of they've got so much crap over the years, and everybody, people make it easy. They call it for people jobs, so I'm cheering for those guys. They've gotten off. They've figured some things out. Roddy Gale, coming in there and being productive with those guys as well. So I'm cheering for the Buckeyes as well.
Tyler.
Yeah. So after Purdue, for me, it is Illinois too. I like Terrence Shannon. I think he can get you a bucket. They have been a little sporadic, and the reason I believe in them is because they've shown flashes where they can really play well. And if they can play to that potential, I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. But I'm not giving up on the Michigan State Spartans. I do believe in Izzo. I think he will have his team ready, especially with his familiarity with the Big Ten and how to coach his teams. I'm not giving up on Tyson Walker or A.J. Hoggard. I think they can develop and get it going. And also I do think they have some pieces that they're going to bring along. So I'm not giving up on the Spartans just yet.
You should. All right, RC, that at the end of the day, what they did against Baylor, Tyson Walker's going to be a bucket. The question's been, where's the help coming from, and can they make enough perimeter shots? They played with some tempo against Baylor. They scored over 20 fast break points. Are you buying Michigan State now?
I'm going to say this to you guys. I always say this because I'm a Tom Izzo fan. I am. I'm a big Tom Izzo fan. I'm a big Tom Izzo believer. But I've been on record and I've said this. This team reminds me of your Tar Heels from a year ago. And I think people underestimate the loss of Brady Manning. Now, I'm not saying they're going to go from the fourth ranked team to not making the tournament. But what I mean is, and let me finish because you'll understand what I'm saying. Why I say that? Because you lose Brady Manning, and when you got a stretch forward that stretches your defense the way they do, and then now when you run all them ball screens with that guy, it allowed Caleb Hill and R.J. Davis and those guys. It just opened up the paint for Armando and those guys. Hauser did the same thing for this group a year ago. He leaves, and they make this run. And we make the same thing. Oh, they top four. And I think the pressure all year long that was like, Carolina, you're number one. You're not living up to the number one. You're not living up to number one. I think that's part of what my concern is for Michigan State. That the pressure and the expectation is they're the fourth ranked team in the country. This is a Final Four team. This is a national championship team, and I need to see more of that from Baylor game. They played like the fourth ranked team in the Baylor game. They hadn't played like that all year. And so I'm going to need to see more of that before I'm ready to put them back. But I think they dug themselves in a massive, massive hole. And I worry about the pressure of trying to be the fourth ranked team in the country all year long. Because I don't think they ever get back up in those rankings.
First of all, I don't think they're a Final Four team. I think they could possibly be the second best team in the Big Ten. So that's where I put them. I think there's only one team that can make the Final Four in the Big Ten, and that's Purdue. I just wanted to say that. But, I understand your point on that.
No. I mean, because I'm saying they were preseason fourth. So if they preseason fourth,
I know.
That's got to be Final Four. And the run that they finished last year, that's got to be what they returned. It's similar. That's all my point was. Isn't the similarities in those two? Not saying they won't make the tournament because I think they'll. I have faith that they'll get in. I just don't think they'll be as good as everyone thought they would be at the beginning of the year.
And it looks like this league can get 7 or 8. It looks like this league can get 7 or 8 Big Ten teams to the NCAA tournament. We'll see how that pans out. How many teams from the ACC are going to dance? How many teams are going to dance from there? We'll talk about it after this.
As you guys know by now, we've partnered with BetMGM Sportsbook for this college basketball season. We're going to be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks and predictions throughout the college basketball season. And we are going to have special offers for you, the listeners and the viewers on the Field of 68 each and every week during the season. If you haven't signed up with BetMGM yet, use the bonus code FIELD1500 and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager on BetMGM Sportsbook. Here's what you got to do. Download the BetMGM app. Sign up using the bonus code FIELD1500. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if that bet loses. Just make sure you use the bonus code FIELD1500 when you sign up. And remember, BetMGM is now available under one wallet in select states. As a New Jersey resident, this is super convenient for me when I have to go cover games in New York or Philly. When crossing state borders, just log into your existing account instead of having to create new accounts in each state that you go to. And most importantly, I got to let you know, we do have some fun stuff coming up for this college basketball season. Bet insurance tokens, college hoops odds boosts, my personal favorite, parlay odds boosts. So download the BetMGM app today.
Welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark. John Fanta, Randolph Childress, Tyler Hansbrough with you. We had a huge night in college hoops last night, and guess who played and balled out? The ACC. Duke made a statement by beating Baylor at Madison Square Garden. North Carolina, goodbye to Oklahoma, and their unbeaten record. Tar Heels, they were able to really put on a strong performance with an 81-69 win. So before we get to the ACC in more depth, RC, Duke wins at the Garden over Baylor. UNC beat a very good Oklahoma team. Of those two games, who shined to you the most?
Oh, I was more impressed with. I think Carolina's really good. So I'm not. I thought they would take care of business. They dropped 2 games in a row, so I knew they'd come out with their hair on fire and respond and beat Oklahoma, and they did. I was a little worried about Duke with Tyrese Proctor being out of the game. I thought with Tyrese coming in, I thought his issue would be just not being able to stay healthy. I mean, him not being out there. That was my issue, concerned about the overall group with him, with his. And Jared McCain steps up.
Go ahead, RC.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. We had some technical difficulty there. With Jared McCain stepping up, I thought he was big, and he's been big since Proctor's been out. And Roach has been steady, and a close for those guys. So that's the biggest thing for me. And I was impressed with those guys closing out because Tyrese Proctor is their best perimeter defender. And he has size, and he's their best playmaker. He takes care of the ball. So to see those guards step up without him in a game of that magnitude was big. I was more impressed with Duke's win against Baylor than I was, because I just think Carolina's really damn good.
All right, I'm not making Hansbrough answer the question, but Hansbrough, please hop in the car right now and put the foot on the gas pedal, and you tell me what you saw from North Carolina last night beating Oklahoma.
Well, Fanta, I'm going to be honest with you. I wasn't too impressed with North Carolina last night. And the reason I say that –
Really? Wait a minute. What?
Well, I don't think that – I'll just be honest. I don't think Oklahoma's strength of schedule was at, up there with, a lot of other teams. And I think they've – even though they were, 10-0 when we played them or whatever, undefeated, I don't think that was really a reflection of the team that they are. I think we'll find out once they start the Big 12 and they're really tested to see what they're really about. But I think there was a few turnovers that I saw that I kind of scratched my head a little bit, and I'm not a big fan of the careless, casual turnovers, especially. My whole thing is like I love it when Armando rim runs, and it allows him to get a deep ceiling position in the post, and it also gives him a chance to go up and score without 2 or 3 defenders on him. And for him to sit there and, post up a foot sometimes outside the lane allows the defense to kind of collapse on him. And I think that makes it difficult. I would like to see a little more production from the bench at times, but I do think the thing that I take away that's a positive for this win is that we've lost a few games, and this was a must-win. And I would say last year in particular, when we did take multiple L's, you could see the guys' body language just act like they were just depleted. And I didn't see that. I saw them come out and fight and get a win. So that was satisfying. But I will say that R.J. Davis is hooping right now. He's been a consistent scorer. He's been explosive. He's doing a lot of different things for us. And I do like the addition of Harrison Ingram because I think he does a lot of different things, and he allows us to go small with different lineups and do different things. Even though Cormac at times, can be a little sporadic, I think he does add a lot when I talk about the spirit of the team coming out, getting guys fired up. I like that aspect from Cormac Ryan.
Tyler, what do you think is wrong with Armando Bacot?
I don't think there's anything. Well, I think what he's doing is he's, a bigger focal point of the defense. And I think the thing that I see, especially now, especially all across college basketball, this isn't just Armando. The big men in today's game, they don't understand how to get sealing. Like, they don't understand how to seal their defender and get good post position. Their movement without the ball isn't great. And I think, when you're a player of Armando's status that's going to demand a lot of attention and teams are going to scout you, every bucket is going to be contested. Teams are going to know what your favorite move is, what you're going to do a majority of the time, and you've got to find ways to move without the ball to put yourself in position that doesn't allow the defense to collapse on you, where you can go right up and score. And, I saw it last night. He made some incredible post moves, especially like the back down, crab dribble, do a little shimmy, then go right to that right hook. I love that move, but a majority of times he's not going to be in single coverage on that. He's going to have to go up through 2. And so that's why I like him rim running. And I think that's kind of he's having to learn to move without the ball and put himself in better position to go right up, not allow the defense to collapse on him. But also I will say that RJ is taking a bigger role for this team this year, which, it's not just pass around the perimeter and just try to pound it into Armando. And I don't think that was the most effective offense for us last year, even though everyone said, we got to get the ball to Armando. We got to get the ball to Armando. We just could never figure out how to get it to him efficiently.
RC, any thoughts on Armando Bacot?
I don't think anything's wrong. I just think that the pace that they're playing, they're not playing through him. I think that's the only difference. They're playing more open. They're playing more, better spaced. There are some things, like Tyler said, I think he can post up, seal probably a little better to get touches. But they're giving him a look. If not, they're just playing. They're just playing at a pass, because instead of sitting there looking, trying to fake get the ball to him, they're just getting off it. And when the ball moves, they're pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Do you
The
think,
key to them is
RC,
just
that they are?
compete.
Say it again.
I said the key to Carolina is just guarding. If they continue to guard and defend, I think they're going to be fine.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you here. I mean, do you think that this team is poised to be sitting in Arizona at a Final Four come April? And to that end, do you think that Carolina is the front runner in the ACC to win the regular season?
I think Clemson's going to have something to say about that. I do. I think a healthy Clemson team have something to say about that. But again, Carolina, I've been impressed with the way they played. I think they'll be right there. They're getting better. The one thing that I will say I need to see out of Carolina is for them to win a game without R.J. Davis playing like a first-team All-American right now, like he's playing. Like, who else is going to help step up when he isn't playing like a first-team All-American? And right now he's been playing as good as any guard in the country. And on and off night, where are they going to get that offensive production from? Would be a concern that I have for them. That's the only thing I would say right now.
Tyler, you think it's your Tar Heels that are the clear front runner in the ACC?
I think Clemson right now is the one that presents them with the biggest challenge. But I would say, in my non-biased opinion, UNC is a front runner right now. But I will say that the key, like RC just said, are we going to show up and play defense? If we do that, we can play with anybody. But I also think there's one other key, and that's the development of Elliot Cadeau. If he really develops and comes on, and you'll see a few freshman mistakes from him, but as the season goes on, if those start to kind of fade away and he really gets his confidence up and he adds a little more scoring, because he is a guy that, last year we didn't have a guy who could really find the open, player, could really pass the ball. And to me, Elliot Cadeau could pass the ball a little bit like Kendall Marshall. He can find, the open player and really create for his teammates. So his development's going to be key for me. And I would like to see one other bench player. I know Seth Trimble's been playing well. But also, I think Jalen Washington, I think he could be somebody that could step up and, provide Armando with a little bit of breather and, contribute in a positive way. So, I would like to see a little bit production from the bench. But besides that, I like the additions and the direction that this team is heading.
And guys, let's not forget how young that Duke team is. We just talked about Kentucky and how much better they're going to be going forward. Duke is really talented, and they're young. They're really young. So we can't not acknowledge that there's a lot of upside with that group, and they got to get obviously getting Tyree Proctor back in a couple of weeks. So whenever he gets back, that'll be big.
Do you think that Duke could win the ACC, RC?
I think they could. But I think there are things they have to figure out. But I've seen those things, right? Like to me, my concern earlier in the year, all the pressure and expectations of Tyree Proctor, right? Then you look at Jared McCain struggled out of the gate. Now this injury, now he's taken off. And now can they figure out that with those guys? And then Caleb Foster, that's the key to see if they can win it. If Jared McCain cannot take a back seat and continue to be aggressive and effective even when Tyrese Proctor comes back, I like their chances, because they need Tyrese Proctor to come back and be effective, because he is their best perimeter defender and he's their best point guard.
Quickly, do either of you have a dark horse in this league, a team that we have not mentioned that you think is going to be dangerous?
My Deeks.
Virginia.
What are you talking about? My Deeks.
Your Deeks?
Yeah, we talking about a dark horse. I'm gonna go with my Deeks. Why not?
You're gonna go with your Deeks. I'll tell you what.
I'm gonna pull my homework card out, man. I'm gonna pull my homework card.
Hey, the fifth highest team in KenPom in this league happens to be Jeff Capel and Pitt. They're 9-3.
Yeah.
Blake Hinson scoring at an incredibly high clip. Don't count out those Panthers to be competitive in that league. Hey, coming up, we are going to give you the top 15 teams in the AP poll. We'll tell you if you're a contender or a pretender next on After Dark.
As you guys know by now, we've partnered with BetMGM Sportsbook for this college basketball season. We're going to be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks and predictions throughout the college basketball season. And we are going to have special offers for you, the listeners and the viewers on the Field of 68 each and every week during the season. If you haven't signed up with BetMGM yet, use the bonus code FIELD1500 and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager on BetMGM Sportsbook. Here's what you got to do. Download the BetMGM app. Sign up using the bonus code FIELD1500. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if that bet loses. Just make sure you use the bonus code FIELD1500 when you sign up. And remember, BetMGM is now available under one wallet in select states. As a New Jersey resident, this is super convenient for me when I have to go cover games in New York or Philly. When crossing state borders, just log into your existing account instead of having to create new accounts in each state that you go to. And most importantly, I got to let you know, we do have some fun stuff coming up for this college basketball season. Bet insurance tokens, college hoops odds boosts, my personal favorite, parlay odds boosts. So download the BetMGM app today.
It's now time for a game of Contender or Pretender, where we give you the AP top 15 teams in the poll, and we tell you where they fall in our pecking order. John Fanta, Tyler Hansbrough, Randolph Childress with you on the Field of 68 After Dark. So, gentlemen, here's what we're going to do. We have about 10 minutes to do this game, so we're going to go relatively quickly. I have tiers. Title favorites, Final Four, second weekend, or upset alert, meaning you don't trust them. Basically, you get 15 teams. 4 is the maximum in a tier, so you got to be careful here. We don't have a ton of time, so if we all agree on something, we don't need to keep discussing that team. We'll move on. All right? Let's begin with the number 1 team in the country. Play along with us in the YouTube chat. Number 1, Purdue. Are they title favorite? Final Four to you? Second weekend? Or upset alert? I'll allow Tyler Hansbrough to give us his thought.
This is the easiest one that you're going to ask me. They are the title favorite right now. I mean, their strength of schedule, who they've beaten, the best player in college basketball, and the improvement of their guards, especially from last year to this year. This is a no-brainer.
RC, do you have any objection to that briefly?
Let's keep it moving. Next team.
So title favorite, Purdue is a title favorite. Number 2 is Kansas. RC, is Kansas title favorite, Final Four, second weekend, or upset alert?
I think I do have my concerns with Kansas shooting the basketball. I think 3-point shooting has to be a concern. When your best 3-point shooter is Hunter Dickinson, then there's reason that you're reason to be upset. So I go second weekend. I think I can see second weekend. I don't see Final Four. I don't think this is a Final Four championship team.
Okay. Tyler?
Fanta, how many title favorites can I have?
You can have up to 4. You can have up to 4.
Up to 4.
And remember,
okay.
You could also have Final Four. So if you don't think they're a title team, you could put them in the Final Four.
They're a title team. Bill Self, arguably the best coach in college. I do believe in Hunter Dickinson. I know they don't have the depth or the shooting, but they have pieces, and they have guys that can score. McCullough, I like his game. what's the other? KJ Adams is also athletic, playing well. And if you get scoring production from somebody like him, you're just getting, that's a bonus. But also the guard, DeJuan Harris, I think he is one of the best defenders in college, and that's kind of getting a little bit, overlooked at times. I know that they lack depth, but they're a title contender to me.
So if you've got title in RCS second weekend, can I go in between? Because of Bill Self, they're 10-1. Is it acceptable for us to go in between guys and put them in the Final Four tier? How's that sound? Meet me halfway.
I'll allow it. I think it's,
At least for Bill Self. Meet me halfway. Let's move on. Number 3, Houston. Okay, so interesting because we haven't talked a ton about Houston. They're 11-0. They have not played the schedule that others have. But at the end of the day, Kelvin Sampson's team just keeps winning. They beat Texas A&M. RC, Houston. What tier are they in?
Final Four. I think this team is offensively better than they've been in the past. I think we'll see that. They'll get tested here in the Big 12. And to me, once you get to the Final Four, obviously anything happens. But I think this Houston team is a Final Four caliber team.
Tyler, any objection?
Yes, second weekend. And the reason I say that is I think that going into a new conference, I think that's going to wear them down, unfamiliar. So the course of that, also their strength of schedule hasn't been, up there with the big dogs. So I'm going to go second weekend with them.
I'm going to break the tie and put them in the Final Four tier because that team is so tough defensively. We get 8 teams. If you're not putting that team in the top 8 of this game, LJ Cryer, Jamal Shed, too much. Here we go. Number 4, Arizona. I'm going to sit here and say title favorite for Arizona. Does anybody disagree?
I'm putting them there too.
Arizona is a title favorite. Number 5,
I'm with you.
UConn. RC. Where does UConn fall in this?
Can you tell me where Klinger's health is? That dictates everything. Because if he's healthy, I'm going Final Four. I'm going Final Four. If he's healthy, they can be a Phoenix. They can be in Phoenix if he's healthy.
Hansbrough.
Title contenders. I think they're the toughest playing team in college. They run a style of offense that will wear defenses down. And if Klingon is healthy, they're going to be a contender. Also, Tristan Newton, arguably playing the best, in the point guard position in college right now. I'm a big believer. I love the way they play. They beat up teams and they play hard. Respect it.
I'm not going recency bias. They had a dumpster fire game. It was a hot mess. It was awful. Up until that point, they were the most complete team in college basketball. I'll break the tie and put them as third title favorite. I'm going with Hansbrough on this one. Here we go. Number 6,
I actually
Marquette.
agree with y'all. I'm sorry. I thought we could only have one of those, so I messed the game up. I pulled a gobbly. I pulled a Doug. So I definitely think they're – I pulled a Doug.
So we only got one title favorite left. Okay, we only got one title favorite left. Marquette, Hansbrough, Marquette. Where do they fall?
Final Four.
Second weekend. And listen, they've had some questionable games. They've been a little streaky. I'm a big fan of Tyler Kolek, and I do like Shaka, but I don't know. I just can't turn the corner with this team. I've seen them play a little shaky, and I don't know if it was a break with finals week, but I don't know. It ruined my taste for them.
RC said Final Four. I am going to be with Hansbrough on this one today. I'm a little concerned about their rebounding. I'm a lot concerned about their rebounding. They've gotten commanded on the glass in these losses. Marquette is in the second weekend. Shaka Smart's only made the second weekend once in his career. Let's move on. Number 7, Oklahoma. Now, it sounds like, Hansbrough, you think this could be an upset alert team.
I do. I don't think their strength of schedules – I don't think they've played the quality teams that they're going to play in the Big 12. So I did say that I want to see what they do in the Big 12 to really gauge what I think of this team. But I do think they have pieces, whether they evolve and become the team that their record, shows right now is yet to be determined. So, I would say upset alert right now.
I'm going to put them there as well. We got to keep this moving. RC, Tennessee. Where does Tennessee stand?
Where do we gauge outside of the Final Four? What's outside of that? I don't think they're a Final Four team. I worry about them offensively. So whatever's below Final Four.
That means second weekend. You don't trust them enough offensively. Weekend. I don't trust them either offensively enough still. Let's go to Kentucky. This is the interesting one. All right. Kentucky. And by the way, want to remind you, get the Vaulted app. If you don't have it, you need to get it. And tonight, here's my challenge. Kentucky wins the SEC. They're going to win the SEC regular season title. I love Vaulted because I can put in challenges, and it doesn't matter what part of the year they come in. Vaulted saves the challenge. You can do it against your friends. You can do it against your family. It's the perfect thing to download during the holiday season. Check out Vaulted. Do the Vaulted challenge. Kentucky will win the SEC. I know you two accept the challenge. RC, what tier is Kentucky in? National title, Final Four, second weekend, or upset alert?
Final Four.
Hansbrough? Just say it.
I'm with RC. I hate to say this. Kills me. Final Four. Their freshmen are going to get better and better. Reed Shepherd, he's playing unbelievable too. So,
all right, here we go. We have 2 minutes. You can't even explain. RC, Baylor.
Upset.
Hansbrough.
Final Four. They have one of the best guards in college, and Scott Drew, his defense and his experience. I trust that.
I'm going second weekend in between you two. North Carolina, Hansbrough.
Title contenders. They're going to improve and get better and better as they go on. I know that's my fifth contender. Final
RC,
Four.
Second weekend.
Second weekend, I'm going to go second weekend. I'm going to go Final Four in between you two. I think they could make the Final Four. Creighton, RC. Just say it.
Upset.
I agree. Tyler?
Final Four. I like Kalkbrenner. I think they have pieces that can score. I believe in them. Final Four. They're my dark horse.
All right, we got three teams. Illinois, Hansbrough, Illinois.
Upset. They're too sporadic.
RC?
I switched them in Carolina. Upset.
Okay. FAU. RC.
Oh, I love them. Second weekend. No, I'm going Final Four. I'm all in on my guys. I'm going Final Four.
One team remains. Gonzaga. Just say it, RC.
Upset.
Upset.
Upset. That's it. We did all 15. Unbelievable. This has been another edition of After Dark. Tyler Hansbrough for Randolph Childress. I'm John Fanta. Thanks for watching. Last call on Stadium is next.